You are not tired because life is hard. You are tired because you have been living against yourself for too long. That is the truth most people avoid. You wake up, you go to work, you answer messages, you eat, you talk, you smile when people ask if you are okay. And still, somewhere deep inside, you know something is missing. Not money, not attention, not another distraction. You are missing yourself. This is why this teaching is called Stoicism. Your rebirth starts today, not tomorrow, not when life becomes easier, not when your bank account looks better, not when your body looks perfect, not when someone finally loves you correctly. Today, because rebirth does not begin when the world changes. It begins when you stop abandoning the part of yourself that still knows how you were meant to live. Maybe you know this life. You are 35, 45, maybe 65. You have responsibilities. You have bills. You have people who expect you to keep going. From the outside, nothing looks destroyed. You are functioning, but functioning is not living. You wake up already tired. You check your phone before you check your mind. You eat what makes you numb instead of what makes you strong. You sleep late, wake heavy, and wonder why your soul feels foggy. You sit with people you love, but you are not really present. You laugh, but it does not reach the deepest part of you. Then, one day, you look in the mirror, and for 1 second, you do not recognize the person looking back. The eyes are still yours. The face is still yours, but the fire is not there. And a quiet question rises. Where did I go? The Stoics understood this pain long before your age gave it new names. The early Stoics spoke of logos, the rational order that calls a human being back into alignment with nature and reason. The Middle Stoics brought that wisdom into ordinary life, into duty, work, family, society, and the hard discipline of living rightly among other people. And the later Stoics, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, taught that no man can be free if his mind is ruled by noise, his body ruled by appetite, and his heart ruled by old wounds. So this video is not about motivation. Motivation fade. This is not about feeling inspired for a few minutes. Inspiration is cheap when it does not become discipline. This is about rebuilding the 3 places where your life has been quietly breaking. Your mind, your body, your heart. First, we will begin with the mind, because a lost mind turns every blessing into anxiety. If your thoughts are undisciplined, your life will feel chaotic, even when nothing terrible is happening. Then we will move to the body, because a man who treats his body carelessly should not be surprised when his will becomes weak. Your body does not need to be perfect, but it must stop being the place where your discipline dies. And finally, we will return to the heart, because many people call themselves strong when they are only numb. They say they are fine, but they are closed. They say they have moved on, but they are carrying anger, regret, guilt, and disappointment into every new day. A Stoic heart is not dead. It is clear. It can love without being enslaved. It can forgive without becoming foolish. It can serve without losing itself. That is the rebirth. Not a new personality, not a dramatic escape, not a perfect life. A governed mind, a disciplined body, a heart returned to virtue. And yes, this will cost you something. It will cost you your excuses. It will cost you the comfort of saying, "This is just who I am." It will cost you the old identity that kept you safe but small. But listen carefully. The life you are living now is already costing you. It is costing you peace. It is costing you strength. It is costing you presence. It is costing you the quiet respect you should have for yourself. So stay with me. Not because this video will save you. No video can do that. Stay because something in you is still awake enough to recognize truth when it hears it. By the end, you will not be asked to become perfect. You will be asked to begin. One clear thought. One disciplined action. One honest conversation with your own heart. That is how a life returns. Not all at once, but today, because the man you used to be is not dead. He is waiting for you to stop betraying him. And the first place we must begin is the mind. The first kingdom you must reclaim. The mind is the first kingdom you must reclaim. You do not lose your life all at once. You lose it every morning when your mind belongs to everything except you. That is the first brutal truth. A man can have a job, a house, a family, a routine, and still be absent from his own existence. He can speak to people all day and never hear himself. He can look alive on the outside while his inner world is being ruled by noise, fear, comparison, and old beliefs he never questioned. This is why the mind must be reclaimed first. Not the bank account, not the relationship, not the body, the mind, because if the mind is disordered, every part of life becomes heavier than it should be. The early Stoics taught that a human being must live according to logos, according to reason, truth, and the order of nature. To them, the mind was not a place for random thoughts to pass through without judgment. It was the ruling faculty, the part of you that decides what an event means, the part that chooses whether pain becomes wisdom or bitterness, the part that chooses whether difficulty becomes training or an excuse. The Middle Stoics brought this into daily life. They understood that philosophy is not for quiet moments only. It is for work, for marriage, for disappointment, for aging, for the ordinary day when nothing is dramatic, but the soul feels tired. And the later Stoics made the teaching severe. Marcus Aurelius had power, pressure, war, sickness, and duty around him. Yet he kept returning to one truth. The mind must not be surrendered to outside events. Epictetus had less external freedom than most men. Yet he taught that real freedom begins when a man stops giving his judgment away. This is where your rebirth begins. Not by controlling the world, but by controlling what you allow the world to do inside you. Think of a man waking up at 6 in the morning. He does not stretch. He does not breathe. He does not ask what kind of person he will be today. He reaches for the phone. Within 2 minutes, his mind is full. News, message, other people's success, someone's perfect body, someone's new car, someone's happy relationship, a bill reminder, a work problem, a memory from yesterday, and now his day has not even begun, but he already feels behind. He has not been attacked, but he feels attacked. He has not failed, but he feels like a failure. He has not made a single choice yet, but his mind is already tired. That is modern slavery. Not because the phone exists, but because he allowed the first voice of the day to be anything except his own reason. The Stoic man interrupts this. He does not say every thought is true. He does not bow to every emotion. He does not let every impression become a command. A thought appears. I am not enough. He answers. This is an impression, not a law. A fear appears. I am too late. He answers. This is a feeling, not fate. A comparison appears. They are ahead of me. He answers. Their path is not my duty. This is mental discipline. Not fake positivity, not pretending life is easy, not smiling over a wound. It is the severe practice of refusing to let every passing thought become ruler of your soul. So tomorrow morning, begin simply. Before the world enters your mind, sit still, breathe, ask one question. What is mine to govern today? Your effort is yours. Your judgment is yours. Your attention is yours. Your response is yours. Other people's opinions are not yours. The past is not yours. The future is not fully yours. The noise of the world is not yours. Do not try to rebuild your whole life in one morning. Reclaim one thought. Refuse one lie. Choose one disciplined action. That is enough to begin. Here is the lesson. A man whose mind is ruled by noise will call confusion normal. But a man who reclaims his mind begins to see clearly again. And clarity is the first sign of rebirth. Because once the mind returns to reason, the next battle becomes obvious. The first 30 minutes of your day decide who rules you. The first 30 minutes decide who rules your day. Your day is often stolen before you even stand up. Not by an enemy, not by failure, not by bad luck, but by the first thing you allow into your mind. That is why the first 30 minutes matter. They are not ordinary minutes. They are the opening vote for the kind of man you will become today. Most people wake up and immediately give their mind away. They check messages. They check news. They check comments. They check what strangers are doing. Before they have remembered their own purpose, they have already entered someone else's world. And then they wonder why they feel anxious. The Stoic answer is simple. You began the day without a ruler, so everything rushed in to rule you. A man wakes up on a normal morning. He tells himself he will only check the phone for 1 second. But 1 second becomes 10 minutes, then 20. He sees a friend buying a house, someone showing a perfect body, someone traveling, someone arguing, someone dying, someone winning, someone being praised, someone being hated. And now his soul has eaten a feast of chaos before breakfast. Nothing terrible happened to him, but his peace is already gone. This is the danger of the unguarded morning. The early Stoics taught that life must follow reason, but reason cannot lead if noise speaks first. The Middle Stoics understood that a person has duties to fulfill: work, family, community, responsibility. But if a man begins the day scattered, he brings a scattered soul into every duty. And the later Stoics lived this practically. Marcus Aurelius did not rise each morning to ask what the crowd wanted from him. He reminded himself what nature and duty required of him. That is the spirit you must recover. Before the world tells you who you are, you must remember who you choose to be. So for the first 30 minutes, do not feed the mind trash. Do not let the day begin with comparison. Do not let strangers enter before reason has taken its seat. Sit still, breathe, read 1 page of wisdom, write 1 sentence of intention, ask 1 clear question. What kind of person must I be today? Not what do I feel like doing? Not what does the world demand first? Not what will make me feel distracted? What does virtue require today? Maybe wisdom requires you to speak less. Maybe courage requires you to do the difficult task first. Maybe justice requires you to treat someone fairly even when you are tired. Maybe self-control requires you to stop poisoning the morning with a screen. This is not a complicated ritual. It is a return to command, a return to order, a return to the part of you that should never have been handed over so cheaply. Try this. For 7 mornings, give the first 30 minutes back to your soul. No scrolling, no random noise, no comparison. No arguing with invisible people online. Read, write, walk, breathe. Pray if you pray. Sit in silence, if silence is what you need. But do not begin as a servant of the world. Begin as a student of reason. Here is the lesson. The first 30 minutes do not guarantee a perfect day, but they decide whether you enter the day as a man with a center or as a man already scattered. Guard the beginning. Because what rules your morning often rules your mind. And once you protect the first 30 minutes, you will see the next truth clearly. Your old thoughts cannot build a new life. Your old thoughts cannot build a new life. You cannot build a new life with the same thoughts that ruined the old one. That is why many people change their goals but remain the same person. They start a new plan, a new habit, a new diet, a new journal, a new promise, but underneath it all, the same old voice is still ruling them. I am not enough. I always fail. It is too late. People like me do not change. And because that voice remains untouched, every new beginning slowly becomes another return to the old life. The Stoics understood this clearly. The problem is not that thoughts appear. The problem is that you agree with them too quickly. The early Stoics called this assent. A thought enters the mind. It says, "You are weak." That is only an impression. But when you believe it, repeat it, obey it, and build your identity around it, then it becomes a chain. A man says he wants to change his life. He wants discipline. He wants peace. He wants strength. But every time he makes one mistake, his mind says, "See, this is who you are." So he quits. Not because one mistake destroyed him, but because the old thought was still waiting to reclaim the throne. This is how people stay trapped for years. Not by one great failure, but by familiar sentences repeated until they feel like truth. The Middle Stoics taught that philosophy must enter ordinary life. Not just what you read, but what you tell yourself when you are tired, what you believe when no one sees you, what story you repeat after disappointment. And the later Stoics would remind you that your judgment is still yours, even if the thought is loud, even if the fear feels old, even if the belief has lived inside you for years. It can still be challenged. It can still be refused. It can still be replaced by action. Imagine a woman or man sitting at the kitchen table late at night. The house is quiet. They write down a goal. I will rebuild my life. But right after writing it, another thought appears. Who are you kidding? You have said this before. And the chest sinks. The hand stops moving. The old identity returns like a familiar enemy. That is the exact moment rebirth is decided. Not when life is easy, not when motivation is high, but when the old thought speaks and you do not bow. You answer with discipline. Maybe I have failed before, but today I will keep one promise. Maybe I am not finished yet, but today I will take one clean step. Maybe the old life is familiar, but familiar is not the same as true. This is how a new life begins. Not by yelling affirmations at yourself, but by refusing to keep feeding the lie with obedience. Write down the thoughts that weaken you, not to worship them, to expose them. Then ask, is this true? Is this useful? Is this within my control? Does this thought lead me toward virtue or away from it? If it leads you away from courage, justice, wisdom, or self-control, it does not deserve your loyalty. Here is the lesson. Old thoughts survive because you keep treating them like ancient law. But they are not law. They are habits of judgment. And what was learned can be unlearned through clear thought and repeated action. Your old thoughts cannot build a new life. So stop letting them design your future. Because once the old mind begins to crack, the next question rises. Who are you becoming now? Identity is the chisel that breaks the old self. You do not rise to the level of your wishes. You return to the level of the person you believe you are. That is why many people say they want rebirth, but keep living like the old self is still in command. They say, I want peace, but they keep feeding chaos. They say, I want discipline, but they keep negotiating with comfort. They say, I want a new life, but they still protect the identity that built the old one. The Stoics would not ask you only what you want. They would ask what kind of human being you are practicing to become. Because every action is a vote. Every small choice says, this is who I am. When you scroll instead of study, you vote. When you keep your word, you vote. When you eat from weakness, you vote. When you speak truth instead of hiding, you vote. Your identity is not built by what you say in a moment of motivation. It is built by what you repeat when motivation disappears. The early Stoics taught that life must align with reason and nature. A human being is not meant to live as a bundle of impulses. You were made to act from the highest part of yourself. The Middle Stoics carried this into duty. They knew identity is not theory. It is revealed in work, family, patience, honesty, and restraint. The later Stoics sharpened it. Epictetus taught that first you must say what you would be, then do what you must do. Not dream about it, not announce it. Do it. Imagine a man who keeps saying he wants to become disciplined. He watches videos. He buys books. He tells himself Monday will be different. But Monday comes, and nothing changes. He wakes late. He eats without intention. He avoids the hard task. At night, he hates himself again. The problem is not lack of information. The problem is identity without proof. He has not yet become the kind of man who trusts his own word. So start smaller. Do not declare a whole new life. Prove one new identity today. Say, I am a man who keeps one promise. Then keep it. Say, I am a woman who honors my body. Then make one clean choice. Say, I am becoming someone who thinks clearly. Then protect the first 30 minutes. This is not dramatic, but it is powerful. Because the old self does not die from one emotional speech. It dies when your repeated actions stop feeding it. Here is the lesson. You do not become new by hating the old version of yourself. You become new by no longer obeying it. Identity is built by evidence, and every disciplined action is evidence that your rebirth has already begun. Once identity begins to change, the body must follow, because the body is where discipline becomes visible. The body is the temple where discipline becomes visible. A weak routine will eventually make a strong mind tired. Your body is not decoration. It is not only appearance. It is not a project for vanity. Your body is the place where your discipline becomes visible. And if you treat it carelessly, do not be surprised when your mind feels foggy, your emotions feel unstable, and your willpower feels weak. We have already spoken of the mind. We have seen that thoughts must be governed, old beliefs must be questioned, and identity must be rebuilt through action. But now the truth becomes physical, because a man cannot keep saying, "I am becoming new," while treating his body like a place where old weakness is allowed to live. The Stoics did not worship the body. They did not say your body must be perfect. Epictetus himself lived with a damaged body, yet possessed a freer soul than many kings. So understand me clearly. This is not about beauty. This is not about looking impressive. This is about stewardship. The early Stoics taught that life must follow nature and reason. And reason asks a simple question. Are you treating your body as an ally in your rebirth, or as a storage place for every undisciplined appetite? The Middle Stoics carried philosophy into daily conduct. They understood that virtue is not proven only in speeches. It is proven in the meal you choose when no one sees, the hour you go to sleep, the walk you take when sadness wants you to stay still, the small refusal when craving demands to be obeyed. The later Stoics would call this temperance, self-control, the power to say, "My desire is not my master." Imagine a man who says he wants a new life. He wants clarity. He wants confidence. He wants peace. But every night, he sleeps late. Every morning, he wakes heavy. He eats whatever numbs him fastest. He moves only when life forces him to move. Then he wonders why his mind feels weak. He thinks the problem is destiny. But often the problem is disorder repeated long enough to feel normal. This is not shame. This is responsibility. Your body may be tired. Your body may be imperfect. Your body may carry age, pain, sickness, or scars. Still, you can honor it. You can feed it with more intention. You can let it rest. You can move it. You can stop using pleasure as medicine for a soul that needs order. Begin simply. Before you eat, ask, will this strengthen me or dull me? Before you stay up late, ask, am I stealing from tomorrow's courage? Before you skip movement again, ask, am I training my body to obey reason, or am I training reason to obey comfort? These questions are small, but they cut deep, because the body reveals what the mouth tries to hide. You may say, you are disciplined, but your routine knows the truth. You may say you want rebirth, but your habits know whether you are serious. Do not hate the body for exposing you. Thank it. It is showing you where the work begins. Here is the lesson. Your body does not need to become perfect before it becomes sacred. It becomes sacred when you stop treating it casually. Feed it with respect. Rest it with wisdom. Move it with discipline. Challenge it with courage. Because when the body begins to obey reason, the soul starts to believe again. And now we must look at the smallest choices that reveal the deepest truth. The fork, the bed, and the floor will show you who is really in command. The fork, the bed, and the floor reveal your character. Your character is not hidden. It is exposed every day by the smallest choices you think do not matter. The fork, the bed, the floor. These three things will tell the truth about you before your words ever do. The fork reveals whether appetite rules you. The bed reveals whether comfort negotiates with your future. The floor reveals whether you are willing to move when your emotions want to stay buried. This is why the body matters. Not because the Stoic worships muscles, not because discipline is vanity, but because ordinary choices are never only ordinary. They are training. Every meal trains you. Every night trains you. Every morning trains you. Every time you choose ease when reason asked for effort, you teach yourself who is in command. The early Stoics taught that life must follow reason and nature. And nature is honest. If you plant disorder, you will harvest disorder. If you repeatedly feed the body with excess, deprive it of rest, and deny it movement, the mind will eventually pay the price. The Middle Stoics understood that philosophy is not proven in dramatic suffering alone. It is proven in daily conduct. A man does not need a battlefield to reveal weakness. Sometimes weakness is revealed at midnight with one more scroll. Sometimes it is revealed in the meal he chooses when he already knows better. Sometimes it is revealed when his feet touch the floor and he immediately returns to comfort. The later Stoics would call this a matter of temperance, self-control, not hatred of pleasure, not punishment of the body, but the power to say, "This desire may speak, but it will not command me." Imagine a man at the end of a long day. He is tired. He feels empty. He tells himself he deserves a reward. So he eats without hunger, scrolls without purpose, stays awake without reason. The next morning, he wakes heavy. His mind is fogged. His body feels dull. His patience is thin. Then he says, "I do not know why I feel so weak." But he does know. His life has been telling him, not loudly, quietly, through repeated choices. This is not about shame. Shame only makes a man hide. Stoicism asks for something better. Honesty. Look at the fork. Are you using food to strengthen your body, or to silence feelings you refuse to face? Look at the bed. Are you resting with wisdom, or escaping into late nights because you do not want to meet tomorrow? Look at the floor. When your body asks to remain still, can your reason command one walk, one stretch, one push, one act of movement? You do not need to become extreme. Extremes often hide a weak philosophy. You need to become consistent. Drink water when your body needs it. Sleep when your future requires it. Move when sadness wants you frozen. Eat with intention, not unconscious hunger. Stand up when comfort begins to make you small. These acts look simple. That is why most people underestimate them. But simple does not mean weak. A life collapses through small betrayals. A life is rebuilt through small returns. The fork, the bed, and the floor are not your enemies. They are your daily teachers. They show you where desire has become too strong. They show you where comfort has become too persuasive. They show you where your body stopped believing your promises. Here is the lesson. Your transformation is not proven by the speech you give when you feel inspired. It is proven by what you do when no one is watching and nothing feels dramatic. Choose one clean meal. Choose one honest bedtime. Choose one small movement. Do it again tomorrow. Let the body learn that reason has returned. Because when these small choices become disciplined, you are ready for something harder. Voluntary discomfort. The practice of choosing small hardship now, so life cannot break you later. Voluntary discomfort trains you before life tests you. Comfort is not always kindness. Sometimes comfort is the slowest way to make yourself fragile. That is why the Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort. Not because they hated the body, not because suffering is holy by itself, not because pain makes you better automatically, but because a man who never chooses small hardship becomes terrified when real hardship arrives. Life will test you. Loss will come. Age will come. Disappointment will come. Illness may come. People may leave. Money may tighten. The future may refuse to obey your plan. And if you have trained yourself to need constant comfort, every difficulty will feel like betrayal. The early Stoics taught that life must be lived according to reason and nature. Nature is not always soft. Nature changes. Nature takes. Nature forces growth through pressure. So the wise person does not wait for hardship to arrive unannounced. He prepares the soul in advance. The Middle Stoics carried this into daily duty. They understood that strength is not built only in crisis. It is built before crisis, in the private choices, in the small refusals, in the moment where you could choose ease, but you choose discipline instead. The later Stoics made this practical. Seneca practiced living with less, so he would not fear losing luxury. Epictetus taught that freedom belongs to the one who is not enslaved by what can be taken. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to rise and do the work of a human being, even when the body wanted comfort. This is voluntary discomfort, choosing small hardship on purpose so hardship no longer owns your spirit. Imagine a man who hates cold water. Every morning, he stands there, tired, soft, negotiating with himself. Not today, tomorrow, I deserve comfort. But one morning, he turns the water cold for 30 seconds. His body resists. His breath tightens. His mind complains. But he stays. Only 30 seconds. Then the next day, 40. Then 1 minute. Nothing dramatic happens from the outside. No crowd applauds. No one calls him a warrior. But inside, something changes. He has given his mind evidence. I can do what is uncomfortable. I can remain when the body complains. I can choose discipline without needing motivation. That is the point. Not the cold water, the command. Voluntary discomfort can be simple. Walk when you want to stay still. Eat clean when craving asks for sugar. Wake when comfort asks for 1 more hour. Train for 10 minutes when your mood says no. Sit in silence instead of reaching for distraction. Say no to one pleasure that has been ruling you too long. These things look small, but they are not small. They are rehearsals for freedom. Each one says to the soul, desire may speak, but it does not rule. Comfort may call, but it does not command. Fear may appear, but it does not decide. Do not misunderstand this. A Stoic does not seek pain to feel superior. That is ego. A Stoic does not destroy the body to prove toughness. That is foolishness. A Stoic chooses wise discomfort to build trust in himself. The goal is not punishment. The goal is preparation. Because the man who can deny himself a small comfort today becomes harder to break tomorrow. The man who can endure a cold shower can endure an uncomfortable conversation. The man who can train when tired can continue when life becomes heavy. The man who can say no to appetite can say no to temptation, resentment, and fear. Here is the lesson. Do not wait for life to make you strong by force. Choose one small hardship today and meet it with reason. Not to suffer. To remember that you are not as weak as comfort has made you believe. Voluntary discomfort is not the enemy of peace. It is the training that makes peace stable. And once you begin choosing difficulty with discipline, you will notice something deeper. A weak routine makes a loud soul. A weak routine makes a loud soul. A chaotic life will make your soul scream, even when nothing is truly wrong. Many people think they are broken, but often they are only disordered. They sleep late. They eat without attention. They move too little. They wake up with the phone already in their hand. They live every day without structure, then wonder why the mind feels unstable and the heart feels heavy. This is not a mystery. A weak routine makes a loud soul. We have spoken of the body, discipline, and voluntary discomfort. But now you must understand something deeper. Your daily routine is not just a schedule. It is the environment your mind is forced to live inside. If that environment is full of neglect, distraction, excess, and inconsistency, then your thoughts will become louder, your emotions sharper, and your peace harder to reach. The early Stoics taught that life must follow reason and nature. Reason brings order. Nature rewards rhythm. A person who lives against both cannot expect to feel whole. The Middle Stoics understood that philosophy must enter ordinary life. Not only the great crisis, not only the major decision, but the morning, the meal, the hour of sleep, the way you speak when tired, the way you recover after failure, the way you return to what matters after being distracted. The later Stoics were severe because they knew this truth. A man does not need to be destroyed by tragedy to lose himself. He can lose himself through repetition. One undisciplined night, one lazy morning, one ignored promise, one emotional reaction, one more day without direction. Then months pass, then years pass, and one day he says, "I do not know what happened to me, but something did happen." He trained disorder until disorder became normal. Imagine a man coming home after work. He is tired, not destroyed, just tired. He says he will rest for 10 minutes. Then he scrolls for an hour. He eats whatever is easiest. He tells himself he will sleep early, but midnight comes. Then one more video, then one more thought, then one more regret. The next morning, he wakes heavy. He feels anxious before anything has happened. His body is dull. His mind is loud. His heart is easily irritated. Then he says, "Maybe I am just weak." No, he is not weak. He is living without order. And a life without order will always feel heavier than it needs to feel. Stoicism does not ask you to become perfect. It asks you to become governed. Start with the simplest order. Wake at a consistent time. Put the phone away for the first few minutes. Drink water. Move the body. Choose one clean meal. Do one task before distraction. Sleep like tomorrow matters. Speak less when emotion is high. Review the day before you end it. These are not small things. They are daily proofs that your life is returning to your command. A routine will not remove all suffering, but it gives suffering fewer places to hide. When the body is rested, the mind is clearer. When the day has structure, anxiety has less room to spread. When action is repeated, identity becomes stable. When you keep small promises, self-respect begins to return. This is the harsh truth. Some people do not need a new life first. They need a new day repeated honestly. Do not wait until you feel inspired. Build the routine while you still feel tired. Do not wait until your soul becomes quiet. Give your soul a life that no longer makes it scream. Here is the lesson. A weak routine makes a loud soul because disorder always asks the mind to pay the bill. But a disciplined routine gives the soul somewhere steady to stand. Once the mind becomes clearer and the body becomes ordered, the final wound appears, the heart. Because many people fix their habits and still feel empty. And that is where the next rebirth begins. The heart must reopen under the rule of virtue. A closed heart is not strength. It is often just fear wearing the mask of control. Many people fix the mind. They train the body. They build a routine. They become productive, disciplined, sharp, and respected. But still, something inside remains empty, because the heart was never healed. It was only locked away. And a locked heart does not become wise. It becomes numb. We have spoken of the mind and the body, but now we come to the place many people avoid. The heart, the place where old pain still speaks, the place where betrayal became suspicion, the place where disappointment became distance, the place where grief became silence, the place where you promised yourself, "I will never let anyone hurt me like that again." At first, that promise feels powerful, but later, it becomes a prison. You stop feeling deeply. You stop trusting honestly. You stop showing up fully. You call it peace, but it is only emotional hiding. The early Stoics taught that life must follow reason and nature. But reason was never meant to murder the heart. Reason was meant to guide it. The Middle Stoics understood that human beings are not made to live only for themselves. We live among family, friends, strangers, duty, society, and the human whole. The later Stoics made this painfully clear. Marcus Aurelius did not tell himself to hate mankind because people were difficult. He reminded himself that he was born to work with them. Epictetus did not teach bitterness. He taught freedom from being ruled by what others do. Seneca did not teach emotional death. He taught inner nobility under pain. This is apatheia, not a dead heart, a governed heart, a heart that can feel pain without becoming cruel, a heart that can love without becoming enslaved, a heart that can forgive without becoming foolish, a heart that can remain open but no longer unprotected. Imagine a man who was hurt years ago. Someone betrayed him. Someone left. Someone made him feel disposable. He survived it. He became stronger on the outside. He worked harder. He trained more. He stopped needing people. Or at least, that is what he tells himself. But when someone kind tries to come close, he pulls away. When someone speaks honestly, he doubts them. When life offers connection, he stands there guarded, suspicious, half-present. He thinks he is protecting himself, but he is also starving himself, because the heart does not heal by becoming stone. It heals by learning to open under wisdom. And that is the difference. A foolish heart opens without discernment. A wounded heart closes without mercy. A stoic heart opens under virtue. Wisdom asks, is this person worthy of access? Courage asks, can I love again without hiding behind the past? Justice asks, am I punishing the innocent for wounds they did not create? Self-control asks, can I feel deeply without letting emotion destroy my judgment? This is how the heart returns, not through blind trust, not through romantic fantasy, not through pretending the past did not hurt, but through a higher rule, virtue. Because if your heart is ruled by fear, you will avoid love. If your heart is ruled by anger, you will poison love. If your heart is ruled by need, you will beg for love. But if your heart is ruled by virtue, you can finally love cleanly. You can care without clinging. You can forgive without returning to harm. You can serve without needing applause. You can be soft without being weak. And this is the harsh truth. Many people are not heartless. They are wounded people who never learned how to be open and wise at the same time. So they choose one extreme. They either give everything to the wrong people, or they give nothing to anyone. But the Stoic path is higher. Open the heart, but let virtue stand at the gate. Do not let bitterness decide who you become. Do not let one betrayal become your entire philosophy. Do not let old pain make you unjust to the people who still deserve your presence. Sit quietly and ask yourself, what am I still carrying? Who am I still angry with? What did I close inside myself to survive? And is that same wall now blocking the life I claim to want? Do not rush the answer. The heart speaks softly when it has been ignored for too long. Here is the lesson. Your heart does not need to become hard to become strong. It needs to become governed. A heart under virtue can feel, love, forgive, serve, and still remain free. That is the final rebirth. Not numbness, not weakness. A heart alive again, but no longer ruled by its wounds. And once the mind, body, and heart begin to serve the same higher law, the last truth appears. Your rebirth is not three separate battles. It is one circle becoming whole. Mind, body, heart become one circle of rebirth. Your rebirth is not three separate battles. It is one life finally becoming whole. A clear mind without a disciplined body becomes fragile. A disciplined body without an open heart becomes hard. An open heart without a governed mind becomes vulnerable to chaos. This is why the Stoic path must bring all three together. Mint, body, heart, not as decoration, not as motivation, but as order. The mind sees the truth. The body obeys the truth. The heart lives the truth. When one is broken, the others suffer. If your mind is full of noise, your body becomes heavy and your heart becomes anxious. If your body is neglected, your mind becomes foggy and your heart becomes unstable. If your heart is closed, your mind becomes cynical and your body moves without purpose. This is why many people feel lost even after improving one area. They read more, but still feel weak. They train more, but still feel empty. They forgive others, but still have no direction. Because rebirth is not partial. Rebirth is alignment. The early Stoics taught that life must follow logos, a rational order greater than impulse. That order must begin in the mind. You must know what is yours to govern. Your judgment, your attention, your response, your choices. The Middle Stoics taught that philosophy must become action. That order must enter the body. Your meals, your sleep, your movement, your daily routine, your small acts of self-command. The later Stoics taught that suffering must not corrupt the soul. That order must enter the heart. Your forgiveness, your love, your courage to remain open, your refusal to let pain make you cruel. Imagine a man who finally begins again. Not dramatically, not perfectly, just honestly. He wakes up and does not reach for the phone first. He sits still. He breathes. He writes one clear sentence. Today, I will govern what is mine. Then he moves his body. Not because he feels inspired, because he has decided that his body will no longer be the place where discipline dies. He eats with intention. He works with focus. He speaks less from irritation. He catches one destructive thought before it becomes a story. At night, he does not pretend he became perfect. He simply asks, did my mind serve reason today? Did my body serve discipline today? Did my heart serve virtue today? That is the circle. Not perfection. Return. Again and again. One thought returned to reason. One action returned to discipline. One wound returned to virtue. This is how a life is rebuilt. Quietly, repeatedly, without applause, without needing the world to understand. This is the harsh truth. Most people do not need a miracle. They need alignment. They need to stop living as three different people. One person who thinks about change. One person who refuses discipline. One person who hides from pain. You cannot live divided and feel whole. So bring yourself back together. Let the mind become clear. Let the body become obedient. Let the heart become alive. Then your life will stop feeling like something you are dragging behind you. It will become something you are finally inhabiting. Here is the lesson. A reborn person is not someone with no problems. A reborn person is someone whose inner life has returned to order. The mind no longer kneels to noise. The body no longer kneels to appetite. The heart no longer kneels to old wounds. And when mind, body, and heart move under virtue, the old life loses its authority. You do not need to become someone else. You need to become whole again. That is Stoicism. That is rebirth. And it starts today. Your rebirth does not begin with a perfect life. It begins with one honest return. Return to your mind when noise tries to own it. Return to your body when comfort tries to weaken it. Return to your heart when pain tries to close it. This is the Stoic path. Not a path of pretending life is easy. Not a path of becoming cold. Not a path of escaping the world. It is the path of becoming governed from within. A clear mind, a disciplined body, a heart ruled by virtue. That is the foundation of a new life. You do not need to fix everything today, but you must stop lying to yourself today. Stop saying you are too late. Stop saying this is just who you are. Stop saying one day while your life passes quietly in front of you. One day is not a place you can live. Today is. So begin here. One thought brought back to reason. One meal chosen with respect. One walk taken when the body wants to remain heavy. One old wound faced without hatred. One small promise kept when no one is watching. That is how rebirth happens. Not loudly, not dramatically, but truthfully. The old life loses power every time you refuse to obey it. The new life gains strength every time you act from the person you are becoming. So when tomorrow comes, do not ask if you feel ready. Ask what virtue requires. Ask what reason commands. Ask what your future self will thank you for. Then do that, imperfectly, quietly, consistently, because the world does not need another sleeping soul wearing a human face. It needs the awakened version of you, the version with clear eyes, a steady body, a clean heart, a mind no longer ruled by noise, A life no longer dragged by appetite. A soul no longer imprisoned by old wounds. And if you remember nothing else, remember this. You are not reborn when life becomes easier. You are reborn when you become stronger, clearer, and more faithful to what is right. Your mind is yours. Your body is yours. Your heart is yours. Take them back. Your rebirth starts today.